The proposed revision of the Unitarian Universalist bylaws identifies 6 values, centered in love and inseparable from each other. On the 5th Sunday of the season, we call to mind the 5th such value, generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality.
Skies, for every sea, for our lives, for all we cherish, sing your joyful song of peace. For the mountains, hills, and pastures in their silent majesty, for the stars, for all the heavens, sing we our joyful song of peace. For the sun, for rain and thunder, for the seasons' harmony, for our lives, for all creation, sing we our joyful song is unto thee. For the world we raise our voices in the home that gives us birth. In our joy we sing, returning home to our blue green hills of earth.
Good morning. I'm Bill Brock, he, him, his, your celebrant this morning.
And I'm the Reverend Meredith Garmon, Zir or he, him, interim minister.
Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Des Moines. Our building is located on land that has been home to humans for 12,000 years, including the Iowa, Sauk, and Meskwaki. Before humans, these lands have been home to the Miro Cynics, or American cheetah, extinct since about 16,000 years ago. As we enter this space, the ghosts of humans and other animals past are among us. We are called to understand the history of the land we occupy and join in the work of education, reparation, and healing for all species.
Our purpose is to associate ourselves together for the study and practice of morality and religion as interpreted by the growing thought and noblest lives of humanity, hoping thereby to prove helpful one to another and to promote truth, righteousness, and love in the world.
This bond of union is reiterated in our mission to grow ethically and spiritually, serve justly, and love radically.
It's a blessing you were born. It matters what you do. Your experience of the divine is true, and you don't have to go it alone.
Today is the 5th Sunday of spring. The moon is waxing gibbous, and the full pink moon will be Tuesday evening.
Tuesday's full moon marks Tuesday on the Hindu calendar as Hanuman Jayanti, celebrating the birth of the Hindu deity Januman.
On the Jewish calendar, Thursday was Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, and Passover begins tomorrow. The 8-day festival celebrates the Israelites' escape from slavery in Egypt.
And on the Christian calendar, today is the 3rd Sunday of Ordinary Time between Easter and Advent. Today is also observed as the 4th of 7 Sundays of Easter leading up to Pentecost on May 19th.
A special welcome to our visitors. For those of you on Zoom, thanks for tuning in, and please be sure your mic is muted. If you are here with children, there is childcare, or feel free to keep them seated with you, or utilize our play area in the back. Newcomers are invited to a UU Curiosity Conversation on the first Sunday of every month. The next one will be on May 5th, after the service.
Our connection circles are small groups that gather to explore monthly the theme and build relationship. It's a key way we live out our mission to grow ethically and spiritually. If you're not in one, please sign up. It's not too late. Become a part of a group. Our theme for the month of April is love, and issues of connecting on this are available on the table just outside the doors. We begin with the lighting of our chalice.
Please say with me the chalice lighting words in your order of service. Love is the center and foundation of this faith. Love is the power that holds us together as a community. Let fall away all that might distract us from the wholehearted practice of deeply loving and understanding how loved we are. Our responsive invocation is number 550 in your blue hymnal. We belong to the earth. Words attributed to Chief Noah South. The side on my left will begin with the words in plain type, and the side on my right will respond with the indented italicized words. This we know, the earth does not belong to us, we belong to the earth.
This we know, all things are connected like the blood which unites one family. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons and daughters of the earth.
We did not weave the web of life, we are merely a strand in it.
Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves.
For our sung invocation, the words are in your order of service.
Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give.
Good morning. My name is Birch Spick. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs, and I am your faith formation and congregational life coordinator. We gather this morning to honor an important milestone. Soon, youth we have known, loved, taught, and companioned will be crossing a threshold. They will be leaving their lives as young students and stepping into the opportunities and responsibilities of adulthood. We gather this morning to celebrate our bridging youth, and if you haven't met them yet, let me introduce them to you. Ellie and Izzy, will you please come to the stage? Ellie Chungath, she, her, is the child of Abby and Jeff Chungath. Ellie has enjoyed finding peace in the Sunday services of First Unitarian and the supportive community of this church. She plans to major in sociology and mathematical statistics at Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts, where she will also be a Stride Research Scholar and row with the crew team. Izzy Stamper, she, her, is the child of Anne and Adrian Stamper. Izzy has appreciated all the friends she has made and the network of caring adults that have supported her here over the years. Izzy plans to attend the University of Iowa in Iowa City this fall. And Izzy, do you have a plan for a major yet?
I'm pre-med.
Pre-med, wonderful. We also want to recognize a few youth who will be graduating but could not be with us today. Boreal Hugavine, they, them, is the child of Vicky Scott, Nate and Wendy Hugavine. Peter McCann, he, him, is the child of Ken McCann. Michael Brady, child of Jason and Mirren Arango. Hans David is the child of Ann Disher. Trey Jackson is the child of Beth Jackson. Through many classrooms, OWL, and coming of age, through many church services and potlucks, you have each taken the unique paths through this congregation, but you have been held in love and companioned by the people here. As you embark on the unique paths before you, we have a gift for both of you, a rose. When your parents dedicated you in this congregation, our minister gave you a rose with the thorns clipped off. When we dedicated you in this community, we pledged to care for and protect you from the thornier parts of life as best we could, until you had wisdom enough to handle the thorns. Today, though, we see that wisdom in you and give you a rose, thorns and all. Adulthood, like these roses, is both beautiful and thorny. And while we see in you the wisdom to handle the thorns, we do not expect you to handle them alone. You enter the garden of community through a new gate, now to be among peers. They will help and guide you, urge and challenge you in this new life. People of First Unitarian Church, please welcome our new adults with the blessing in your order of service. These words are by Reverend Dr. Rita Capezzi. No matter if you are on the cusp of new life, people will have expectations of you. People you love will have expectations of you, both spoken and unspoken. This you already know. May you know, too, that you carry within you a spark of the universe creating itself. That spark connects you to all that is, to all that was, and all that ever will be. That spark is always there in you, always there, bringing you into being, always a force of creativity and possibility, especially when the expectations of others overwhelm and disappoint you. When you doubt yourself or feel afraid, when you fail, as we'd all do at times, remember that spark, always there, sustaining and revitalizing you, like the love you find in this church. We are always a home for you. Your community is here for you. Blessings upon you in this milestone of your life. Peace, amen, so may it be. You may be seated now.
A word for our bridgers, if I may. As you begin this new phase of your life, well-wishers like this congregation and myself lovingly ponder the world of possibility before you. We like to think about the places you might go, and Dr. Seuss's book, Oh, the Places You'll Go, is especially popular at this time of year. But Dr. Seuss's vision for your future is strikingly individualistic. It says you're on your own. Other people are scarcely alluded to, and when they are, they seem to exist only for the purpose of being bested. You'll pass the whole gang and you'll soon take the lead. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest, except when you don't. There will be bumps and slumps along the way, and while unslumping yourself, he says, is not easily done, there's no mention of friendship and the support of other people in helping us through these difficulties. The illustrations feature you in barren cityscapes, bereft of other people, or heading out of town into an equally uninhabited countryside, standing all alone at intersections. The book mentions loneliness, all alone. Whether you like it or not, alone will be something you'll be quite a lot. This loneliness will be scary, it says, but rather than urging the cultivation of friendships, as would seem natural, the book only says loneliness will make you not want to go on, but on you will go anyway. It's a story that encourages perseverance, but not relationship. The reward for your solitary perseverance is, kid, you'll move mountains. But the book draws no connection between your success and making the world any better. And so I humbly offer this addendum in Dr. Seuss's preferred form, anapestic tetrameter couplets. Dr. Seuss laid it out, the good doc got it right. You will soar through bright days and you'll struggle dark nights. What he failed to mention, no, he said not a word, is you're not on your own. That would be too absurd. Life is for friendship, community, love, the people, the beings that you most think of. He said you'd be lonely. That's probably true. You'll be heartsick, despairing, and anxious and blue. These feelings you'll have tell you something that matters, that friends make you whole when your heart is in tatters. Oh, the places you'll go, you will not go alone. I'm not talking about Facebook or swiping right on your phone. The companions you'll find and the love that awaits you, that's the best part of where this life takes you. Success feels nice and failure feels sad. Of both you'll find plenty, the good and the bad. There's community too, the folks who don't see you for the mountains you move, but for just how you be you. Who you will be is such fun to be scheming. Whose you will be is what gives it all meaning. We'll now sing our children to their classes.
Go in joy, go in peace to meet the day. With open arms embrace life's wonder. We will guide you, we will love you on your way.
Well, I don't have any sausage and I don't have any mustard, but have we got some feasting for you? My name's Elaine Imlau, and I'm here to tell you about our annual fundraiser, the biggest fundraiser of the year, Fellowship, Food, and Funds, that is next weekend. We kick off the sale Saturday the 27th with a potluck dinner from 5 to 7. The sale continues after church Sunday until noon. You can't come? Designate a friend to do some shopping for you. We have our old favorites, Pancakes in the Woods and a murder mystery dinner, and many new events. Travel to Vietnam, Germany, Denmark, Ireland, Hawaii, and Afghanistan, staying right here in Des Moines. Get active and paddleboard, sing karaoke, play some games, or bid on a wide variety of cakes, cookies, breads, desserts, and other delectable delights. And if you want to be an early buyer, volunteer to help conduct the sale. The sign-up genus will be out tomorrow. Oh, you can also go back to the 60s and 60s music in the Yonkers Tea Room or experience some poetry. Be sure to pick up your updated list that is out on the table, the food fair table. It has the list of providers and event hosts on the back that was not included on the list that was out last week. And there's been a couple of additions since then too. So be sure to pick that up. You won't see me, as the hat says, because I'll be downstairs with the owl kids. So enjoy.
We didn't ask Bruce to play us special music or the choir, so we're going to dance up here maybe for you. I'm here, we're here. I'm Leanne Beck. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I'm part of nominations committee, and we just wanted to come up and tell you that we are still working on the ministerial search. The process has been kind of long. The board contacted members to ask what values, skills they would like to see represented on the committee. I'm sure most of you got a phone call. And we asked if they would be willing to serve on the committee if they were nominated. So from that 100 calls, we got about 30 names that were given to the nomination committee. And then we all called, the nominations called a second round of calls. And the individuals who continued to say yes have been asked to fill out a questionnaire to gauge their desire to serve, what they would bring to the community, et cetera. Currently, we have 15 respondents.
So Crystal Loving, she, her, also a member of the nominations committee and the board. And so when the board made all of those phone calls, we definitely got insight into what members of this congregation wanted to see for membership on that committee. We got some skills, some values, but what we heard a lot of is that everybody wanted a diverse committee. They wanted to see representation from the different groups in the church, by ages, by sort of just different aspects of the church, different years of membership, et cetera. But in order to get that type of committee created, people from those groups have to say yes and be willing to serve their church, right? So we have many, many ways we can serve our church, and sometimes ministerial search is one of those. So that said, what I'm trying to tell you in a roundabout way is we didn't get a lot of yeses across different groups from the church in representation. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, because we think from those 15 individuals, we can put together a really lovely members of our 7 members, so there'll be 7 individuals on the committee. So from those, we think we can still get a lovely rounded committee that can serve our church and have all of our needs in mind. We just want you to be aware of the situation that we're in now as we move forward. And just know that if you have a chance maybe to still say yes.
Yeah, I think she took my part, but that's
I
okay.
stole your thunder. There's still more parts. There's lots of things to say yes to serve your church.
So as we gather, I wanted to mention too that we found out that we've missed a couple names, people that have said yes that didn't get on our list. So if you happen to be one of those people, feel free to let us know after the service, and we'll have a conversation about where to go from here. So, and if you are a member of the diversity group that's not being represented, newer members, younger people, and you're interested, let us know as well. We're also looking for board members, so here we are.
So the opportunities to serve your church abound. If you're interested, talk to Leanne and I after service, but thank you.
Thanks.
My name is Ellen Taylor, she, her. I'm a pastoral care associate for our congregation. If you just need one other person to hear and to hold with you whatever you might be going through, your pastoral care team is here to help you process any significant transition. Speak to me or another member of the pastoral care team, or email pastoralcareteam@ucdsm.org. We now collectively bear witness to journeys within our community. We lift up again Jan Sveck and his wife Barb Klubel as they deal with Jan's cancer. And let us now share together the names of anyone we know who could use some special care and attention. You may call the name out loud or type it into the chat. As we share these names, may the love of this community hold them all.
Dear source of strength, wisdom, and hope, these are chaotic times. And there is a phrase, consecrate your chaos. It means to take the confusion and violence and refine them, purify them into something new, put them into the service of good. Engage the chaos, tame it, name it, take what seemed out of control and charge it with a duty. May we be brave in consecrating our chaos. This Earth Day, we know, as we have known for years, that climate chaos wreaks increasing damage and threatens to bring much worse. There is chaos of weather-related disasters, rising temperatures, rising oceans. There is chaos of governments struggling to enact the needed steps. May we consecrate the chaos, find what is available in our situation to be turned to greater good. For there is much that is yet in the bud. Renewable energy continues to make strides. This week we learned that 2 countries, Albania and Iceland, now rely exclusively on renewable sources for their electricity needs. Urban planners are devising ways to make our cities more walkable, so more residents are within walking distance of shops, parks, schools, thus obviating reliance on cars. This week, New York City launched an Office of Livable Streets to transform streets into safer, greener, and more community-focused spaces. This week, Greece announced it was banning bottom trawling in marine protected areas by 2030, the first complete prohibition of this destructive fishing practice in European marine sanctuaries. The ban will protect biodiversity and combat the climate crisis. And the EU pledged 3.5 billion euros to promote ocean sustainability, focusing on sustainable fisheries and reducing oceanic plastic pollution. Last week, the Supreme Court of India ruled that an individual's right to life included safeguarding against the adversities of climate change. And new data shows that between 2022 and 2023, deforestation in Brazil's Amazon River basin slowed by 36%. Deforestation in the Colombia part of the Amazon River basin slowed by 49%. Throughout our world in chaos, there are people organizing to consecrate the chaos, to fashion peace where there is violence, justice where there is domination, and trust where there is suspicion. Through all the beauty that surrounds us, and through all the tragedy, there flows a stream of ultimate joy. Mindful of this world of pain and of love, let us bring compassion to every moment. Dear source of strength, wisdom, and hope, be with us, for we would be voices of justice and peace in everything we say and everything we do.
May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world, and may we not look away when we are needed. May we confront what is cruel, heal what is broken, and delight in what is good. We light 3 candles, one for the joys and sorrows shared aloud, one for those shared in writing, and one for those held silently among us. For all of these, we now observe a minute of silence.
I grew up in Wisconsin and lived there until I was 28. For most of that time, Wisconsin's two U.S. senators were William Proxmire and Gaylord Nelson. To say Proxmire was outgoing would be an understatement. He raised no campaign funds, but he was a one-man, door-to-door canvassing operation. He showed up seemingly everywhere. He walked in the store where I was bagging groceries in 1974. He was at the state fair every day, standing in the same place hour after hour, shaking hands. He was frequently on national TV. He was even referenced on an episode of All in the Family where Jean Stapleton, in her distinctive voice as Edith, couldn't help herself but just kept saying his name because she liked how it sounded. Proxmire, Proxmire, Proxmire. Now, Senator Gaylord Nelson was different. He was kind of a quiet man, a former governor. He was an old school liberal, a strong supporter of civil rights, consumer rights, and of the environment. He was one of the earliest vocal opponents of the Vietnam War among members of Congress. In 1963, he convinced President Kennedy to go on a national speaking tour to discuss conservation issues. And he's best known as the father of Earth Day. In 1970, Nelson had the idea of using the strong advocacy young Americans had demonstrated in the anti-war movement to address the air and water pollution that was so prevalent at the time. Earth Day was chosen for late April as it was a period of time between spring break and final exams, so young people could participate. When he left the Senate in 1981, he became chairman of the Wilderness Foundation. In 1995, President Clinton honored him with the Presidential Medal of Freedom for his environmental advocacy. In his remarks, the president said that Nelson championed the protection of our natural resources, and that in establishing Earth Day, Gaylord Nelson helped us to recognize that our fragile environment was increasingly at peril and that each of us could make a difference. Clinton concluded, "His work has inspired all Americans to take responsibility for the planet's well-being and for our children's future." And I would say that indeed, Senator Nelson did. Now, Karen and I have made our own contribution to environmental activism in our daughter, Rachel, who is a few weeks away from being halfway to her ISU degree in environmental science, and we are very proud of her. I almost forgot something very important. We now come to the offering. Our Faith and Action partners this year are Free Store, which helps provide household items to families recovering from domestic violence and other trauma, and the Iowa Trans Mutual Aid Fund, which supports trans and gender-diverse Iowans as they access gender-affirming care. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. Accordingly, the offering is gratefully given and gratefully received.
The first Earth Day, as Bill mentioned, was 1970, April 22nd, 54 years ago. The Earth that we were trying to preserve on that first Earth Day, we failed to preserve. Our planet today is not the Earth of 2 generations ago. Atmospheric carbon dioxide levels hovered around 275 parts per million for all of human history up until 200 years ago. On the first Earth Day in 1970, CO2 had reached 325 parts per million. But back then, most of us were still blithely and blissfully oblivious to what that rising CO2 would mean. In 1988, we passed the 350 parts per million safety line. At 350 parts per million of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, the planet survives. If we get above 350 for very long, or if we get very far above 350, then we will trigger tipping points and irreversible impacts. The Journal of Nature said that above 350, we threaten the ecological life support systems that have developed in the late Quaternary environment and severely challenge the viability of contemporary human societies. And yet, we have been above 350 for 36 years now. And as of May 2022, the global average concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere was up to 421 parts per million, and we are still adding about 2 more parts per million every year. In fact, scientist Kevin Anderson projects that even if rich countries adopt draconian emissions reductions within a decade, it's improbable that we will be able to stop short of 650 parts per million of CO2. Our planet is already not what it was 54 years ago. What I would like to do today is take a look at a certain theory out there that it is the nature of intelligent life to destroy itself, and how climate change might fit to that theory. I will, however, be taking the chance to note that reality is never depressing. I will mention some practical features of how we will live on this earth that is already not the one many of us were born on, and I'll point to the spirituality, particularly the eco-spirituality, the connectedness to the sacredness of the earth that we need for this new earth. I will conclude that maybe the nature of intelligent life is not to destroy itself, but more often to work its way to the emergence of a peaceful, sustainable way of life in which the beings delight in the home they have. The theory that it is the nature of intelligent life to destroy itself emerged as one possible response to the Fermi paradox. And what is the Fermi paradox, you ask? The brilliant Italian physicist Enrico Fermi, born 1901, reasoned as follows. Our sun is a young star. There are billions of stars in the galaxy that are billions of years older. There is a high probability that some of these stars have Earth-like planets, which, if the Earth is typical, may develop intelligent life. These older stars with Earth-like planets would be way ahead of us in developing interstellar travel. At any practical pace of interstellar travel, the galaxy can be completely colonized in a few tens of millions of years. Given billions of stars that have billions of years of head start on us, a few tens of millions of years is nothing. It follows, concluded Fermi, that the Earth should already have been colonized, or at least visited. But Fermi did not think there was any convincing evidence that we had been. Moreover, not only have we not been visited, we haven't even spotted a sign of intelligence elsewhere in our galaxy. Hence Fermi's question, where is everybody? This question has come to be known as the Fermi paradox. And one theory that has been proposed as an explanation of why we haven't encountered or seen any other intelligent life is that it's the nature of intelligent life to destroy itself. The theory is that on any planet that evolved species that developed civilization and then technological civilization, those species will usually or invariably destroy themselves before or shortly after developing radio or spaceflight technology. Possible means of annihilation include nuclear war, biological warfare, or accidental contamination, or climate change. It is a conjecture that some scientists have offered, just one of many possible answers to the Fermi paradox. Is it inherent in the way that intelligence emerges that a species will arrive at enough intelligence to be able to destroy itself before it arrives at enough intelligence not to? Yes, intelligence emerges in response to competition for scarce resources. And as long as resources are plentiful, species don't need to outsmart other species, and all species remain comparative simpletons. So yes, wherever intelligence emerges, it necessarily comes with the aggressive competitive drives that spurred that intelligence to develop. When that ancient competitive aggression and drive to consume resources, extend longevity, and reproduce suddenly becomes paired with powerful new technology, boom. And that boom need not mean that the civilization entirely self-destructs, only that it becomes once again non-technological. According to this conjecture, this has already happened on billions of other planets and is now happening here. The result of that rising CO2 that I mentioned is that the top 10 hottest years ever recorded have all been after 2000. An average temperature increase of 1.1 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial temperatures has already happened. The increase is expected to reach 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2040, according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. We are on track to reach 2.7 degrees Celsius hotter by the end of the century, even if current pledges from governments around the world to decrease emissions by 2030 are met. In the 20 years, 1980 to 2000, the number of distinct weather-related disasters affecting the United States and doing at least $1 billion of damage averaged 4.75 per year. In the most recent 20 years, 2004 to 2024, the number of distinct weather-related disasters affecting the United States and doing at least $1 billion of damage averaged 13.35 per year. That's 2.8 times more billion-dollar weather-related disasters in the 20 years from 1980 than in the 20 years from 1980. And this is from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and their cost estimates for weather-related disasters are adjusted for inflation, so it's a true increase of almost 3 times more major disasters per year. Is this intelligent life destroying itself? 3.5 billion people live in places particularly vulnerable to climate change. By 2100, 50 to 75% of the world population will see periods of life-threatening climatic conditions, mainly heat and rainfall. Food insecurity and water shortage will lead to humanitarian crises, conflict and displacement, with the heaviest impacts in parts of Africa, Asia, Central and South America, small islands, and the Arctic. 350.org summarizes: glaciers are everywhere, melting and disappearing fast, threatening the primary source of clean water for millions of people. Mosquitoes, who like a warmer world, are spreading into lots of new places, bringing malaria and dengue fever. Drought is becoming more common, making food harder to grow in many places. Sea levels have begun to rise. Scientists warn they could go up as much as several meters this century. If that happens, many of the world's cities, island nations, and farmland will be underwater. Meanwhile, oceans are growing more acidic because of the CO2 they're absorbing, which makes it harder for animals like corals and clams to build their shells and exoskeletons. When we speak of climate change and the long list of planetary damages it wreaks, it's common to invoke our grandchildren. Preserve the planet for the sake of our grandchildren, we say. Or, Let's not let our grandchildren have to deal with the problem with which we should be dealing. But the earth of the first Earth Day is already gone. As Bill McKibben says, forget the grandkids. Turns out this was a problem for our parents. At this point, maybe you're thinking, oh, such gloom and doom. It's depressing. It's stressful. Tell me something uplifting and inspiring and not this litany of disaster scenarios. I'm going to tell you the truth as best I can discern it. And here's a truth that I think happens to also be inspiring. Reality is never depressing. Being in denial, being out of touch with reality, pushing it out of consciousness so that it has to sneak around and come at you from behind, crawl up your back, for reality eventually finds a way to get through to us. That's the source of depression. Struggling to resist irresistible reality, that's what triggers stress and depression. Reality is never depressing. Paying attention to reality is the antidote of depression. Mindful attention to exactly what is a practice of cultivating joy, even if what is pain. Literally. For example, if you've got a throbbing knee pain or headache, bring all your attention to the pain itself, minutely noticing each detail of its sensation. This does not make the pain go away. It does make the pain bother you less, for as long as you sustain attention. Reality presents us with challenges, and those challenges become depressing or stressful problems only when we want to push them away, push them out of mind. Instead, engage and connect. The good news is, you and I are going to die. That's actually great news because it means we don't have to figure out how to live forever, get everything solved, all thoughts removed so that we can then relax into our immortality. We don't have that responsibility. We only have this short time, a day, a year, a few decades, and all we have to do is show up for just those few decades, just this decade, this year, this day. That's all. Hallelujah, we do not bear the burden of eternity. Knowing that I am blessed with an ironclad exit strategy, knowing the divine takes form only temporarily in the body and set of ego defenses called me, I'm liberated. My task is no more than to manifest this transience that I am. My task is no more than that, and also no less We are each of us called upon only to manifest, and in our manifesting, engage with the challenges that happen to arise for the few years we happen to be here. Not denying the reality we face, nor retreating into some kind of survivalist bunker. Ours is the path of open-eyed and open-eared awareness, and the path of connection to both nature and neighbor. We shall choose neither despair nor self-defense, but new community. On this 55th Earth Day, the Earth we celebrate is not the Earth of 1970, but still has technological civilization. Intelligent life has not destroyed itself, not yet, and maybe it won't. Our odds get better the more of us have the courage to face reality exactly as it is. And this courage comes from spiritual discipline. This courage is a spiritual discipline. Our capacity to hold the world in love, whatever may come, is developed in spiritual practice and in spiritual community. Where love is, fear and sadness are not. Because of climbing CO2 level and the consequent climate change, the Earth of our ancestors and of our youth is gone. We now face the prospect of developing community on a new Earth. Our new Earth will rely more on local food and on farming that doesn't use huge quantities of fossil fuel for its fertilizers, its pesticides, its machinery, or its product transportation. Food will cost more. For many years now, by historical standards, food has been ridiculously cheap, partly because of agriculture subsidies and fossil fuel industry subsidies, which also subsidize the type of agriculture that intensively relies on fossil fuels. Even so, rising food prices will be a hardship for some, so food aid programs will need expanding. Our new Earth will rely more on locally produced energy, solar panels and solar water heating on your own houses and windmills in your own yard, because transmission across power lines loses efficiency over many miles. We will also, as we already are, use the internet and Zoom instead of flying and driving places. To sustain us in our new Earth, we need the very thing that sustained many of us on the old Earth, a spirituality of connectedness with this Earth, of reclaiming a way of living lightly, carefully, gracefully on this delicate home. Rituals and practices and ways of thinking that nurture attention and calm delight in the simple beauties of life. Eco-spirituality, which means that our experience of the divine comes through the natural world, will sustain us individually and collectively. Our environmental problems will not be fully addressed, says Stephen Rockefeller, until we come to terms with the moral and spiritual dimensions of these problems, and we will not find ourselves religiously until we fully address our environmental problems. Emerging eco-spirituality recognizes not merely that we have a religious obligation to protect ecosystems, reduce consumption, and in general be responsible stewards of our environment, but that nature itself is sacred, has intrinsic value, and is due reverent care. Not simply because it's God's creation and God tells us to, but because nature tells us to. And nature has that authority based on being sacred in itself. Connecting to the sacredness of the earth is what saves us. Wanting stuff makes us stressed, and being stressed makes it harder to step back from our desires for a larger perspective. So what I'm talking about really is not impending grim necessity, but emerging wholeness, joy, and delight. We may make for ourselves a materially sparer and spiritually fuller life on our tough little planet. Getting there won't be easy. It takes being focused and intentional, and it takes a lot of us paying attention together. When Hildegard of Bingen experienced unity with the divine, she gave the experience these words: I am the breeze that nurtures all things green. I am the rain coming from the dew that causes the grasses to laugh with the joy of life. In riding a bicycle or driving a car, we quickly become to feel the vehicle as an extension of our own bodies. In the same way, the whole world is an extension of your own body. Yes, sometimes it does things you don't want it to and can't control, but then the same is true of your own joints and organs, and increasingly so as the years go by. Truly, everything in the world is your joints and organs, sinews and bones, glands, skin and hair, and brain and mind. Says Joanna Macy, we are our world knowing itself. We can relinquish our separateness. We can come home again and participate in our world in a richer, more responsible, and poignantly beautiful way. We have, of course, no idea how things may have gone on other planets. If thousands or even millions of other civilizations have arisen in our galaxy, the reason we haven't heard from any of them, though, would seem maybe not that they destroyed themselves. It seems at least as likely the reason we haven't heard from them is that they haven't needed to go colonizing for more resources. The nature of intelligent life just might be not to destroy itself, but more often to work its way to the emergence of a peaceful, sustainable way of life in which the beings delight in the home they have. Perhaps the galaxy is full of technological civilizations that found their way into the joy of living together with smallness of resource consumption, smallness of carbon footprint upon their planet. And perhaps Earth will be next. May it be so. Amen.
Our final hymn is number 207, Earth Was Given a Garden, in the gray hymnal. Earth was given as a garden, cradled for humanity, tree of life and tree of knowledge, placed for our discovery. Pour and home for all your creatures born, land and sky and sea, all created in your image, all to live in harmony. Show to us again the garden, where all life flows fresh and free. Gently give your sons and daughters into full maturity. Teach us how to trust each other, how to use for good our power, how to teach the earth with reverence, and we'll flourish the Eden flower. Bless the earth and all your children, one creation, make us whole, interwoven, all connected, planets wide and inmost soul. Holy Mother, life bestowing, bid our waste and warfare cease. Fill us all with grace o'erflowing. Teach us
Please say with me now our unison chalice extinguishing words, as those of you at home extinguish your chalices. We extinguish our chalice, but not our connection, our concerns, or our care for each other. Love be our guide, going forward and always.
Every day is Earth Day. Every day is a day to be grounded in this sacred ground. Every day, a day for finding the joy of living simply, living lightly, and reduced consumption. May it be so. Go in peace and making peace.
Soul of truth, eternal goodness, sojourn with us as we part. Fill our minds with high endeavor. Keep us just and pure in heart. Strengthen us for daily duty. Guide us by the inward light. Hallowed be each coming morning. Calm and peaceful